What's going on, guys? Today I'm back with another Hat format replay review for you guys. If you're interested in sending in your Hat format replays, you can go down to the video description and find all the information on how to go about sending those in. Anyways, the matchup I have for you today, we have Odyssey Icaros, who is going to be on kind of a spicy, eccentric cat deck, versus Vulpix 96, who is going to be on Hat. And this was actually the finals of Mortaltech Monthly 43, which, if you guys are interested in both of their deck lists, I did do a tournament review video on this event. So definitely go and check that out if you're interested in their list. Both of these players are very good players. Vulpix usually on some sort of gadget deck, and this is actually the first time that they piloted Hat from what they said, which is very impressive that they made it to the finals. And Icaros, someone who has definitely seen the top tables a bunch, and I've showcased a bunch of their gameplay and stuff on this channel, so definitely no stranger to that either. Hopefully this will be a good match, so let's get straight into it. Here, it looks like Icaros is going to win the rock, paper, scissors and get to start this one out. Opening hands, we see Sanctum, Debunk, Card D, Dionea, and Eccentric Boy. We'll go over this in a little bit here. And on the other side, we see Solemn Warning, Compulse, Firehand, Call the Haunted, and a copy of Treptrix Trepple Nightmare. So both players honestly opening not bad at all. And here, Icaros will get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Artifact Caduceus. So real quickly, I will go over these two cards as they're probably the two that most people aren't super aware of. Eccentric Boy is a level 3 tuner that basically allows you to synchro summon using a monster in your hand, but if you do, the monster that it's summoned can't activate its effects are negated, and it's removed from play when it's removed from the field. And then Caduceus, it has the usual artifact type effect, but then it has the effect that during your opponent's turn, each time an artifact monster or monsters is special summoned, you draw a card and you must control this face-up card to activate and resolve this effect. So a pretty cool card there. But anyways, here we are going to see Icaros normal summon the copy of Card D, set the copy of Sanctum and Debunk, and then go and use that Card D, tributing it off and drawing into Call the Haunted and Scythe before passing it over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Call the Haunted for turn. Here, let's see if they're going to choose to be aggressive, and yep, they are. So summoning the copy of Firehand and just trying to swing in for some early damage before going into main phase 2 and setting 5 back row. And here in end phase, nope, nothing in end phase. Icaros will draw for turn, getting a copy of Duality. So now they kind of have the option if they want to be aggressive and go for the Eccentric Boy play, or going for a copy of Duality and playing it a little slower here. And here it looks like they are going to normal summon the copy of Eccentric Boy, so choosing the more aggressive route, synchro summoning with that copy of Caduceus in hand, and going for a copy of Angel of Zera. Now this is the card that kind of makes Eccentric Boy worth playing, and it says that it gains 100 attack for each of your opponent's banished cards, and then during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished, special summon this banished card, and you can only use the effect once per turn. So obviously just having a monster that will kind of keep recurring itself, especially given it would be banished off of the Eccentric Boy when it leaves the field, it's just kind of a free card at that point. From here, let's see, it looks like Icaros is going to be aggressive and go to battle phase, running over the copy of Firehand, which is going to attempt to activate, but obviously we do know Icaros has that copy of Debunk, so being able to negate the effect of that Firehand and banish it, stopping the Firehand from actually floating into a copy of Ice Hand and kind of walling up a bit is very strong. Going to main phase 2, setting 2 more back row over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Ignition, which is a great card, just not necessarily right in this exact situation, given all their zones are filled. And so from here, it looks like they are just attempting to pass, but in end phase, we are going to see Icaros go and activate Sanctum, chaining the copy of Call the Haunted, trying to bring out that copy of Caduceus. Obviously, if the Call the Haunted resolves, then the Caduceus will be on field, and then the Sanctum will summon, and Icaros would get a a draw here, and let's see, Vulpix is thinking, but they are going to go and use the warning on the copy of Call of the Haunted. Obviously, stopping the Call of the Haunted is better here because had they gone and say warninged on the Sanctum, usually, warning is a card that would, affect the Sanctum where it would be able to pop. But, here, obviously, stopping the Call of the Haunted, and the Beagle Tack is gonna go and be summoned here, and attempting to use the effect, but that is going to be met with the copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare. So Vulpix definitely taking care of what Icaros has to throw at him at the moment. And then here, Icaros draws for turn, getting another copy of Debunk. So just a great card, and now they don't really have a great play other than going for this copy of Duality right now, which they are going to fire off, revealing a warning, Dionea, and Sanctum. Quick pickup on that Sanctum, which definitely makes sense in this situation. And then going to battle phase, swinging in for some nice damage, or trying to, I should say, but Vulpix is going to go and activate the copy of Compulse, and here, just because the Angel of Zera was used with the copy of Eccentric Boy, it actually will not be bounced back to extra deck. Since it is attempting to be removed from field, it will get banished instead, and so here, main phase 2, Icaros is going to set 2 more back row, pass it over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Double Cyclone, which is a great card to pair with that copy of Ignition that they had picked up. In standby phase, we are going to see the Angel of Zera summon itself back, and Icaros choosing to summon it in attack sort of might telegraph that they do have another copy of Debunk, or, in some cases, maybe they could have thought, oh, they just weren't thinking, because had, Vulpix had another hand, it potentially could have been a bad situation in a sense, had they not had the, obviously, other copy of Debunk here. But anyways, here it looks like Vulpix is just setting 2 and going back to Icaros' turn. They're going to get another copy of Duality. So just such a great draw from Icaros here. Firing it off, revealing a Ignition, Maxi, and Call the Haunted. Here taking that copy of Call the Haunted. So I guess they had got another Sanctum too. So sort of being able to do that play that they were thinking earlier on with the Caduceus maybe. Here going to battle phase, attacking in with the Angel of Zera, and we are going to see the Ignition activated, popping that copy of Scythe, which is a great card for Vulpix to hit here, given it is Icaros' turn, so the Scythe won't be able to summon itself back out, and setting a copy of Moral Tack. From there, Vulpix is going to activate the Double Cyclone, going after the Moral Tack, and hitting the copy of Sanctum, and here it looks like Moral Tack is going to activate, and Icaros is going to activate that second copy of Debunk, so really keeping Vulpix off of any monsters is very good for Icaros here. And then that Angel of Zera is going to connect, and main phase 2, let's see what they're going to do, just passing it over, so holding that copy of Call of the Haunted, which again kind of goes back to what I said, where it was a little telegraphed potentially by summoning this in attack that they had it, because now if Vulpix had a copy of Ice Hand, they'd be able to, attack in the Call of the Haunted's on board, and it kind of allows the hands to kind of do their board-breaking abilities. But anyways, here Vulpix gets a copy of Mermail, so now it looks like they're going to start gaining some advantage finally. It seems like they were a little bit down in the first half of this, but here we see the Mermail summoned, adding a copy of Bottomless here, setting it, and then back over to Icaros, who gets a kind of a perfect out for that if need be, getting that copy of Ignition here, which it looks like Icaros is just going to summon the copy of Dionea, go battle phase, run over the Mermail, and then attack in with the Dionea. But we are going to see Vulpix activating their copy of Call the Haunted, which is going to be met with Icaros' copy of Ignition that they had drawn, and a second copy of Call the Haunted is going to be activated as well. So here we do see the Mermail summoned, and a copy of Moral Tack is going to be set here. Maybe a little misclick sending that to Graveyard, because that should be set. And anyways, running over the Mermail, so just trying to really stay alive because of how low in life they are. Here, setting that copy of Call the Haunted, and here Vulpix is going to draw for turn, getting a copy of Dionea, which is perfect, given, they do have this Mermail in Graveyard that they had just drawn. So 2 back-to-back good draws there. And then from here, though, let's see what happens. I don't think it's going to be enough realistically. Well, maybe. It could be interesting. Here, Dionea is summoned using the effect. Call the Haunted is chained, summoning out the copy of Moral Tack. The Mermail is summoned. The Moral Tack is going to trigger. The Mermelio's going after the Call of the Haunted. Bottomless is activated to banish the copy of Moral Attack here. And here the Moral Attack still resolves, popping the Dianea. And that is going to go into a game number 2 there. It definitely took me a second to understand what was going on with that copy of Moral Attack, but what had actually happened is just because Icaros had no other back row at the time, when the Call of the Haunted was activated for the Mermelio, the ignition was chained, popping the copy of Call of the Haunted, and then from there, the second Call of the Haunted was activated, summoning the Mermelio, which is mandatory, so at that rate, it would have gone and popped the Moral Attack that was there at resolution, but it was Icaros' turn, so obviously it wouldn't trigger, so it was in graveyard. So it all made sense. It just took me a second there. But anyways, moving on into a game number 2, we will get to see Vulpix start this one out. Opening hands, we see Ignition, Dark Hole, Duality, Call the Haunted, and Card D. A very strong hand here from Icaros. And on the other side, Ice Hand, Torrential, Duality, Moral Attack, and Debunk. And here, Vulpix will get a draw for turn, getting a copy of Sanctum, so also a very strong hand. And let's see, firing off that copy of Duality, revealing the Trap Hole Nightmare, Moral Attack, and Mermelio, quickly picking up that copy of Mermelio and putting the others back. Normal summoning Mermelio, searching the copy of Trap Hole Nightmare, and after that, we're going to see a set 5 yet again, and over to Icaros, who gets a copy of Duality. So having double Duality means they definitely have follow-up for a while. Firing off the Duality, revealing Debunk, Moral Attack, and Debunk, taking a copy of Debunk and putting the others back. And from here, let's see if he goes for the card car. He is going to go for the card car, and it looks like Vulpix is going to go and activate that copy of Sanctum, summoning a Moral Attack, and being able to pop the card car before Icaros can go and try to get any advantage out of it. After that, we are going to see a blind ignition activated. Hitting the copy of Debunk is really strong, setting a copy of Moral Attack, and then going Dark Hole before setting 2 more back row and over to Vulpix, who gets another copy of Trap Hole Nightmare. So I forget in their deck list if they were on 2 or if they were just siding one. I would definitely have to go and check that back out. But anyways, here summoning the copy of Ice Hand and going to battle phase, just swinging in for some damage before setting that copy of Trap Hole Nightmare, and over to Icaros, who draws a copy of Breakthrough Skill, fires off the Duality, revealing Ignition, Double Cyclone, and Void Trap Hole, taking the copy of Double Cyclone. So having a pretty solid card here means that they are going to be able to, pop the copy of Moral Attack they have, as well as one of Vulpix's back row, which they could potentially figure out that a Trap Hole Nightmare is there, it would be assumed, but then they also have the Call of the Haunted to bring it back again, as well as they have the Debunk for the Ice Hand, so they're definitely not in a bad situation, but right now Vulpix does have a lot of answers. Here we see Icaros set 2 and back over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Sanctum, so just another great card, going to battle phase and swinging in, but we are going to see Icaros go for that Double Cyclone here. And they're going after random, going after and hitting the copy of Moral Attack. Okay, so actually a very good card to hit here because obviously, again, Moral Attack won't be able to trigger on Vulpix's turn here. So here the Moral Attack can then go and activate, summoning itself out in defense position, and it looks like they're choosing not to use the effect. And the Ice Hand does have 1400 attack, same with the defense of the Moral Attack here. So the Ice Hand can't clear it. And, this does also play around the copy of Trap Hole Nightmare. And now if Icaros were to switch this to attack and crash in, they do have the Debunk for it. So just a great play here from Icaros. And Vulpix is going to go set that copy of Sanctum and pass it over. Here, Icaros gets another copy of Ignition, switching the Moral Attack to attack and doing exactly as I mentioned, or at least trying to, but we are going to see Vulpix go and activate that copy of Sanctum, summoning a Moral Attack of their own, using the effect, but that is going to be met with Breakthrough Skill. And here we see the Moral Attack still swinging over the Ice Hand. Ice Hand is attempting to activate, but that is going to be met with the Debunk. After that, main phase 2, setting the copy of Ignition and passing it over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Ignition of their own. So from here, setting it and just passing, not even choosing to crash or anything like that. And here, Icaros is going to pick up a copy of Warning, go to battle phase, and they are going to be the aggressor, swinging into the Vulpix's copy of Moral Attack, setting 1 and passing. Here, Vulpix gets yet another copy of Ignition, And let's see, no, not even firing it off. Well, I guess they have 3 Sanctum here, and that's it. Or not 3 Sanctum, 3 Moral Tack, my apologies. And I forget, I really would have to look back at their list how many artifacts they were on, if they were on, 4 or 5 different artifacts, because it's potentially that these, copies of Ignition could almost be dead. Well, I would assume that they probably have another artifact in deck if they were going first, but let's see here. Icaros picks up a copy of Torrential, sets it, and yeah, okay, so they definitely do have more artifacts in deck. Going and activating the copy of Ignition, hitting that recently set copy of Torrential, setting a copy of Beagletack, and then here it looks like Vulpix gets a copy of Mind Control for turn, sets the copy of Ignition, and passes over. Icaros gets a copy of Mermail, which they are going to normal summon, use the effect, and pick up a copy of Bottomless, go to battle phase, and swing in, but we are going to see Vulpix activate the copy of Ignition, going after that copy of Beagletack, setting a copy of Scythe. Beagletack is going to trigger to special summon itself back out, using its effect, but we are going to see Icaros go and actually use the Graveyard Breakthrough skill to negate that copy of Beagletack, so keeping Vulpix off of a potential rank 5 is very strong, setting that copy of Bottomless and then passing it over. Here Vulpix gets a copy of Wiretap, which they are going to set, just walling up a bit, and here we are going to see Icaros go and activate Ignition, again just going completely blind here, hitting the copy of Torrential, so, trading Ignitions for Torrentials is kind of funny there, setting a copy of Moral Tack, and then drawing a Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare for turn, and let me just see, we've only seen 1 copy of Moral Tack out of Icaros this game, or is there another one set? No, well, I guess this one is set. So 2 copies, for some reason I thought it was more, but anyways, moving right along, it looks like Icaros is just passing over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Mermail. So now that Mind Control might be actually really strong here, normal summoning the Mermail, and they say it's good, no effect, Mind Control, taking Icaros' copy of Mermail and overlaying into a 101, and Icaros might fire that warning, which they are going to do, but that is going to be met with the Wiretap, so shuffling back the copy of Warning, still having to pay that 2,000 life, and now Vulpix can swing in for 21 with the copy of 101, just a great card in this situation. Icaros draws a copy of Ignition, and sets 2 back over to Vulpix, who gets a breakthrough skill of their own, going to battle phase, swinging in. We will see the Call of the Haunted activated, summoning out that copy of Moral Tack, using the Moral Tack effect, but there is that other copy of Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, and so the 101 will still try to go in, but here we see Icaros now going for Ignition, popping that copy of Moral Tack and setting another copy of Moral Tack. Moral Tack will then go and trigger, summoning it out, using the effect again, and there is the other Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare activating, and the 101 will eventually get there, leaving Icaros at only 400 life here. So it is definitely looking like we are going to go into a game number 3. If I had to guess, here we see Vulpix set the copy of Breakthrough skill over to Icaros, who gets a copy of Mermail, sets it back over to Vulpix, who gets a DD Crow, switches the Beagletack to attack 101 into the set Mermail, and Icaros is going to scoop it up there. So we are moving on into a game number 3 that Icaros will be able to start out. Opening hands, we see Dianea, Void Trap Hole, Moral Tack, Double Cyclone, and Ignition. So a kind of like, I want to say mid-hand here, though. I guess the Moral Tack, Double Cyclone, and Ignition are very solid opener type cards in a sense. And Vulpix here has Call of the Haunted, Firehand, Trap Trick Trap Hole Nightmare, Warning, and Wiretap. So very reminiscent of that game number 1 here. And here Icaros gets a copy of Duality. So, kind of very reminiscent of that game number 1, firing it off, and here revealing Caduceus, Sanctum, and Card D, and let's see what they choose to do. Maybe the Card D for advantage, but no, going for the Sanctum instead, just to, make sure they can always be applying pressure. Here setting 5 back row over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Sanctum, so this time it looks like Vulpix is going to play it slow as well, setting 5 and setting the copy of Firehand, not being aggressive like they were earlier on. And here we will see Icaros go and activate the Sanctum, summoning that copy of Caduceus, which means, yeah, they are going to go for all the artifact stuff right now, going for Ignition and hitting the copy of Wiretap. Very strong hit, especially with some of the other back row they had, or I guess maybe not, only the Void Trap Hole here. but setting the copy of Beagle Tack, going double Cyclone, going after their Beagle Tack, and Vulpix's copy of Warning. Ooh, very good hit them there. And here we will see the Beagle Tack trigger as well as the Caduceus drawing into a copy of Debunk. So a great draw. And then here the Moral Tack is going to be popped off the Beagle Tack, then summoned out, and Caduceus will trigger yet again, getting Icaros a copy of Sanctum. So here we really see why Caduceus is such a strong card. And then Icaros gets a card D for turn as well, which I think maybe it might be best to be a little aggressive here rather than going for the card. So yeah, they even put in the chat there on the side, very hard. And here we do see they are going to go for a copy of Pleiades here. And Vulpix is going to think here, it looks like Icaros is going to set 2 and try to exit main phase. We will see Vulpix go and summon that copy of Moral Tack. Moral Tack is going to trigger, but that is going to be met with Void Trap Hole, which says when your opponent special summons a monsters with 2,000 or more attack, negate the effects of one of those monsters with 2,000 or more attack, and if you do, destroy it. And so I'm thinking here the reason they were going for the copy of Sanctum is obviously they're trying to bait the Pleiades in attempting to use the effect, and then that can be met with the copy of Trap Nightmare, in which case the Moral Tack would resolve and pop the other copy of Moral Tack, which would put Vulpix very far ahead. But obviously Icaros having this copy of Void Trap Hole just gives them all the advantage to kind of bluff out that situation. And here, though, we are going to go and see Vulpix activate their copy of Call of the Haunted to bring back the copy of Moral Tack, and we are going to see Pleiades attempting to bounce it, and now it is going to be met with the copy of Triple Nightmare. So we're kind of going to see that play that I just mentioned regardless. Moral Tack coming down, and then Moral Tack is going to trigger here, popping Icaros's copy of Moral Tack. And now all those draws off of Caduceus actually don't seem like that much. Vulpix drawing into a copy of Sanctum for turn is also a great card. And here, going to battle phase, swinging in with the Moral Tack, Icaros is going to activate a Sanctum of their own, summoning a copy of Moral Tack in defense, and popping the copy of Moral Tack that Vulpix has. And it almost feels like it might have been a good situation to flip up this copy of Firehand, though we do know that Icaros has a copy of Debunk. But, you know, Vulpix not knowing that might have been a good time for that. And here, setting that copy of Sanctum and back over to Icaros, who gets another copy of Card D here. And now it's definitely feeling like it is in Icaros's favor a bit more. Normal summoning like a copy of Card D, and here Vulpix is going to fire off that copy of Sanctum, summoning out another copy of Moral Tack using the effect and popping the copy of Card. And, you know, because they did allow this, it is still Icaros's main phase because the Card didn't attempt to activate or anything like that. So being able to switch that Moral Tack to attack, go battle phase, and swing into the copy of Moral Tack, Vulpix will draw for turn, getting a copy of Ice Hand, and they have to be a bit aggressive here if they want to try to get out of this, flipping up the copy of Firehand and attacking in, which obviously we know is going to connect. Here, Icaros is going to get a copy of Duality, so maybe a Duality card type of turn. And let's see, Ignition, Triple Nightmare, and Breakthrough Skill, taking the copy of Breakthrough Skill here. Okay, so that will definitely be good for later on. Normal summoning that copy of Card, setting the Breakthrough Skill using the Card, drawing into Breakthrough and Torrential. So maybe not the draws they wanted to see, but definitely ones that could come up later on for sure. Here, Vulpix gets their own copy of Duality, and they are going to fire it right away, revealing a Mermail, DD Crow, and Blackhorn. And let's see, taking the copy of DD Crow is definitely a solid card in this position. Again, they've already gone through a copy of Triple Nightmare, so unless they kept multiple in, and I feel like, you know, Bottomless isn't the best in this situation either, given we haven't really seen much of the Traptrix engine out of Icaros, so there's a higher chance that that is still in rotation in the deck. And obviously those, you know, Trap Hole normal traps aren't going to affect the Traptrix monsters, so definitely a good pick on the DD Crow. Here, swinging in with the Firehand, and let's see, back over to Icaros, who gets a copy of Moral Tack, normal summoning the Dionea just to get over the copy of Firehand, and we will see the Debunk activated here. And that's really good for Vulpix because it means that that ice hand has a higher likelihood of actually connecting now. And Icaros is going to set 2 back over to Vulpix, who gets another copy of Duality. So here they're going to fire it, meaning they are going to play it slow with the ice hand unless they find a better normal summon, revealing Blackhorn, Mermail, and Sanctum. Okay, and let's see, taking the copy of Sanctum here, putting the others back, so we will just see probably a set ice hand here, along with that set copy of Sanctum. Back over to Icaros, who now gets a copy of Dionea, which can be very strong on the following turn, or now even going and normal summoning the copy of Dionea, overlaying into a copy of 101, going to battle phase, and here running over the copy of Ice Hand. Ice Hand will pop the breakthrough skill, summoning a copy of Fire Hand, and back over to Vulpix, who's thinking in the end phase, maybe going to fire that Sanctum. They are going to fire the Sanctum, going for a copy of Moral Attack. Moral Attack effect is going to trigger. Maybe we will see the other set copy of Breakthrough Skill. So negating that copy of Moral Attack, and here Vulpix gets a debunk of their own, which it feels a little late maybe, but here the Moral Attack can at least get a material off of the 101, and then setting the debunk back over to Icaros, who now gets a copy of Mermail after going through both copies of Dionea, attacking over the copy of Firehand, which will attempt to activate, but the 101 can protect itself, so the Fire Hand won't be able to float here. After that, main phase 2, Icaros is going to normal summon the Mermail, search a copy of Bottomless, and then set 2 over to Vulpix, who gets a copy of Double Cyclone, and they do have a debunk set, so that's not really great. Back over to Icaros, who now gets a copy of Ignition, going to battle phase, swinging in, and it seems like Icaros is taking a bit of a lead here, setting that copy of Ignition. Here, Vulpix gets a copy of Breakthrough Skill. They're going to have to set the copy of DD Crow there. Icaros gets another Mermail, still having targets, but Vulpix is going to chain that copy of Breakthrough Skill, main phase 2, overlaying into a Dweller. And here, it looks like just passing, so wanting to play it a little slow in case this is another hand, and obviously, you know, not wanting to activate this in case there is another Trap Nightmare, which they did see that Vulpix was on multiple. And speaking of which, they just drew it, but, you know, not going to be super effective here. And here, Icaros gets a copy of Duality, activates the Dweller, goes battle phase, runs over the DD Crow, attacks in with the 101, activates the Duality in main phase 2, revealing Call of the Haunted, Mermail, and Call of the Haunted, taking the copy of Call of the Haunted and putting the others back. And over to Vulpix, who is going to get a copy of Mermail, which again, just setting it over to Icaros, who gets a debunk, using the Dweller again, trying to wrap this one up, attacking in. The 101 is also going to attack in here, and that is going to be game. So what a wild back and forth and match that was. I see why they both made it to the finals, honestly, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like on it, comment any questions or videos you want to see in the future, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified anytime I put a new video out, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to go down to the video description to find out how you can send in your hat format replays. Whether you won or lost, if you thought the deck you or your opponent played was pretty cool, feel free to send that in. I'm sure a lot of people would love to see it. But anyways, guys, I will see you in the next video.